All right, all right. We are on. Al, how are you, man?
I'm doing great, Brian. How are you doing?
Good, good, man. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you coming on the show. We've been talking about this for what, a month or two, right?
It has been. It has. You've been so booked.
No,
I'm
I always
lucky
got
to get
time for
on.
you. I always got time for you, Al.
I
So,
appreciate that.
while I may know you and I may talk to you all the time, let's tell everybody about you and who you are and who you're here to talk about. I mean, you're more than just fence armor. You also are the president of NAFCA, and you've got so much other stuff going on. So, give us a quick background about you and what you do in the industry.
All right. Well, in the fence world, I am certainly privileged to be president of NAFCA, the North American Fence Contractors Association. It is a mouthful, so NAFCA is all you really need to know.
All right.
And you know, but the deeper meaning is North America. So it includes Canada, it includes Mexico. We don't have. We used to have one or two members out in Mexico. I don't think we do, but we have several in Canada, and we have obviously many in the States.
Okay.
But we wanted to encompass let's say the continent that we're on, and
Yep.
that's where the name came from. So I'm
Yeah.
gladly president, and I'm enjoying that time with the group. We had the pandemic at the beginning, so we didn't get too much done. But now we're looking at continuing to do more volunteering, more philanthropic kind of work.
And you're up in Canada yourself, aren't you not?
I'm here half the time. I
Yeah.
like to stay where it's warm, so I kind of follow the sun.
Yeah, I hear you.
Our corporation's in Fort Lauderdale, and I like to spend as much time there as I can.
Oh, well, I mean, if you're missing some sun, come down to Las Vegas. We got plenty of that. We got plenty of that. We're storing it up for the whole country this next month or so. But now that you mentioned,
I also like coconuts. So,
but you got your share in Florida too. You're not without sun down there.
no.
You did mention NAFCA, and I know Fence Armor. You'll be at the fence show with Fence Armor and stuff. But I want to talk a little bit more about NAFCA because I think it's an important part of our industry. And and you recently changed your mission statement, if I'm correct. I mean, I went on there and I saw empowering the fence industry to build a better world together. What does that mean? Where did that whole new mission statement come from?
Well, the reality is we have a couple of associations. We're going to say we're an association. We are truly an association.
Yep.
But with the Fence Workers Association and the American AFA, focused on aspects of the fence industry that are related, let's say, symbiotically. I think NAFCA, from its beginning, had always the volunteer aspect in mind. So I think most people in the fence industry will know that we've really, back in the days of Scott and maybe before him, Ruitt, really brought on the work that we did at the National Cemetery in Arlington. And that's we've been carrying that on for years now.
Yep.
I think almost 10 years, if I remember.
Yeah.
And this year's no different in October. So we want to be an association that fencers would love to join, to be able to give their time and energy back to well-deserving causes, such as the Arlington Cemetery and Victory Junction and many other things that we've done to give back to, we'll say, society in general.
Yeah. And I think most of us know about Arlington, the Arlington Cemetery project, because you complete another couple hundred feet of fence a year or something out there. What exactly is that? You remove some fence and install fencing to replace what's existing.
Exactly. So we have a window of a day. Typically, we try to get everything done on the day. The day before, we'll have our board meeting. The day after, we should say, we start on the project. And that usually includes ripping out some fence and putting in some new fence. And we have great sponsors, as it were, who provide us the materials. We have great fence companies who join in to help us. And, the small membership fees that we ask, $250 a year is a small membership fee, really end up going back to really helping in these causes.
Yeah, and you guys give back a lot more than most. I mean, if I remember your last one training you were doing in Florida, it was you were actually helping people with rooms or something too, weren't you?
Yeah, well, what happens in our training in Florida, the fence training school, when we have it, last year we actually turned that fence training school again into another project to help put in the fences to a memorial site for, I think it was the U.S. Navy, and that was a real nice tribute. So last
Right.
year we did a couple of different projects. So we're real good at that, and certainly we'd love you to think about, as fence companies, maybe deserving individuals or organizations in your state that may uh, need some help.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's something we can bring up in our board meetings and look at where we can apply our energies and find fence companies and sponsors to help us
Yeah.
help others who've given so much.
Yeah. So come on, everybody. I know there's going to be thousands of people watching this at some point throughout the next week. So get in those comments if you got a project, or if you got something worthwhile for Al to take a look at and his team, or us, or if you can donate some time. Drop in the comments and let's see if we can get more of these projects going around, because it looks like you guys are going to be focusing a lot more time on these things as you do. So besides the Arlington one, you mentioned a Victory. What is it? Victory something?
Yeah, a few years back we did another project, Victory Junction, and that was a really, I want to say, special, because that's where we met Richard Petty, and certainly that whole family and how that tied into together. Chris was involved in that one, and he got things kind of rolling for us out in Georgia. But it was in the Carolinas, and Victory Junction is we'll call it a theme park for, we'll say, disadvantaged children, potentially those who aren't going to make it.
Yeah.
And they get a week at this location to be able to enjoy those moments in life that they can't normally enjoy. So we were busy building paddocks for llamas and horses.
Yeah.
So we put up a lot of vinyl fence there. We had a great crew, and it was a real nice feeling when you finished working there. That's for sure.
So for 10 years, you've been working on this Arlington fence. How many more years do you think you got left on that?
Well, it's a big cemetery. I don't see that ending anytime soon. Sadly, the world's not getting any safer, and what they've been finding is their standard 6-foot high fences haven't been doing the trick. So they're pulling a lot of those out and putting in 10-foot fences.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that around the property. I don't foresee a time where that's going to stop. Now, we can only do so much as a volunteer association, and we can only get so many things. So when we go in, we typically look at a segment of the fence that we can do, and we're very, very happy to do that for them, and they're happy to have us, obviously. So
yeah,
it works well.
Have you tallied up a footage yet that you've done out there?
That's an interesting question. It'll be hundreds and hundreds of feet. Over the years, it'll be, maybe thousands. I don't know. We try to do, it really depends on the segment. If it's, if it's a 4-foot or 5-foot ornamental fence, then it's going to be real fast, right?
Yeah.
But it also depends on what we're tearing out. Sometimes we've got stuff in there that is, been in the ground for decades.
Yep.
So that sometimes pulling that stuff out is a challenge for sure.
Yeah. So what's the next day you're going to be out there at Arlington? How do people get involved in this? Is there an email? Is there a website we go to? If we had to tell everybody, maybe Susan can type it into a comment or something and pull it up about where they can contact you or get involved.
They can certainly go to 4 NAFCA.com. And on there, there'll be, abilities to join us there and find out more about what's going on at the next events. They're typically in October. So, the challenge with doing these things is getting the right window, because, typically, most guys are really deep in their fencing business from May till September.
Right.
So, we trying to get things done at the beginning, or maybe a couple of things at the beginning of the year before they get too deep, and a couple of things at the end. So it's a bit of a challenge in that aspect.
So October, sometime in October is what you're kind
Yeah,
of shooting.
Arlington will be in October.
Okay, and we'll do more. We'll do more shout outs for that to kind of get see what we can do about getting involved. And maybe I know Susan, I think, was out there at the last one, possibly, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, Susan and Michael, I believe.
Yeah, so they were out there at that one. So hopefully this will be after our show in September. So yes. I'll be under a little less pressure too. So we'll get out there and try to make an appearance and see what we can do to help too. And maybe we can help get some more fencing in. Get some more materials donated over there. And it's a learning experience as well. So you do more than just build this fence. You turn this into a training exercise, right?
Yeah, in like we did in Florida for that memorial. I think it was for the Navy. We really took what was going to be our regular training and turned it into training / practical application. So that's one of the things that's typically different with us when we're doing training. It's usually an application where the fence is actually being built for a purpose, as opposed to let's put in a post and let's pull it out.
Right.
So it gives it a different dynamic at that point, because you have to do it right.
Right. So is NAFCA, is there a heavy veteran association with this? A lot of veterans that kind of started this? Is that why we see a lot more on, Arlington, the Navy projects, things like that?
I don't know. There certainly are veterans. Scott Ruitt was in the Coast Guard for a lot of years. And there are veterans in the association. But I think really it stems from the initial group and founders who broke away and decided that they wanted to create an organization that was closer to the fence builder, as opposed to manufacturers or organizations that are, let's say, not as needing to learn about fencing.
Right. I think you guys did a good job at that. And I know we'll recap probably on another show about your training you do in Florida and some of the other educational stuff you have. But I do want to talk about fence armor as well, because fence armor, until I met you, I think at the it was the last show, really, or we kind of got to really know each other after the last show. I didn't know a lot about fence armor. I don't do wood, vinyl, but then I hear that there is some stuff that's for steel and aluminum as well. So it's not just something to protect a wood post from rotting away, if I remember correctly, right? So
yeah, you are right. Absolutely. And I see our catchphrases at the bottom there.
I was trying to pull that up at the same time, but yeah.
the 3 Ps. The 3 Ps are important. So prevent, protect, and prolong. Ultimately, our product is designed initially to solve a problem, and the problem was mine. I had a fence. I still have a fence, and I had landscapers who worked on my property, and every Friday they would find an opportunity to, let's say, violate the posts on my fence. And this violation kept happening, and my cedar posts were deteriorating every week.
Yep.
And I just felt that it was egregious that this was continuing to go on. I hired another landscaper, and I finally, after 3 landscapers firing them all, realized there's nothing for this. They said there was nothing they could do about it. The equipment they use is what it is.
Yep.
It's not really their fault. So we went ahead and invented something that would take care of that problem. And that's how the fence guard or fence armor started. And we trademarked the name, we patented the product, we made it all in North America, all US steel. We stamp it here, we powder coat some down in Florida. And we have a solution that is a great upsell to the fence builders.
Yeah, I want to circle back to that made in North America, because you guys have a whole story around that as well. But so your first product was the actual product that protected a wood post. That's what started the whole thing.
Yeah. So there you see a fence armor guard there. That's a small one. It's a 3-inch high.
Okay.
And this part of this, what we call a totem pole, and we can get into that. But this piece right here is, our bread and butter. And it's really simple. It's galvanized steel, 22 gauge, G90 galv. Then we powder coat it with a polyester American powder coat. Even the screws are made in America, Pittsburgh steel, powder
Yep.
coated to match. And what happens is when the filament comes across here, a couple of things happen. That radius here deflects the filament from the face. It also deflects the filament so that the filament doesn't break. Because
Oh,
landscapers don't want to have their filaments breaking every time they come up against fence armor. So it works to manage both that criteria.
interesting. And it comes pre-bent right out of the box, and they have multiple sizes, or are all the wood posts typically the same? It's a 4 and 3.5 inch post, or is that an issue that comes up sometimes?
We have 113 SKUs.
Oh,
And you say to me, Al, why is that possible? It's possible because wood is not what you imagine. And, I remember being, on the equivalent of the Shark Tank, the Canadian version called Dragon's Den. And some of the investors would say, well, you're getting ripped off. And I said, well, that's just the way it is. A 4x4 at Home Depot and Lowe's is 3.5 by 3.5. And those of you who remember the lawsuit that was put up against Menards for that very reason, they had to change. And if you go to a store today, a box store, and you'll see the name, it no longer has 4 inches by 4 inches. It just says 4 by 4. So in that lawsuit, it said that is just a name. It's not a quantifier of its reality. So the name 4 by 4 is just that. Yeah. If they had the inch marks above it, that was what the lawsuit was, then it's actually suggesting that post should measure 4 by 4.
Right.
And today, when you guys go out to those stores, have a look at those numbers.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
We all know that a 2x6 is not 2x6. We know it's 1.5 inches by 5.5. I guess we just learned that over time, but I guess I never paid attention to whether they put the inch symbol on it or not. So 113 SKUs though. I mean, is a 4x4 that different at different stores that you would have to have different SKUs for that?
A 4x4 will range in the US and Canada from 3 3/8 all the way to 4 1/8.
Oh my gosh.
So that's why our post caps are the only post caps that'll fit any 4x4 ever made, because it's a universal clip inside. The claw grabs the post and locks on. So if you're in Washington State, Oregon, British Columbia, most of those mills are cutting wood for the Japan. Japan requires 105 mil, which is 4 1/8. So Home Depot and Lowe's will still sell a 4x4 as 3.5. But if you went to an independent lumber store, in many cases, that 4x4 would be 4 1/8. So, but they still call it 4x4.
4x4. So you got to check everything before you do it. So, I mean, you could order, I guess that's an important thing when you're ordering up the product too, to get the stuff shipped out to you.
And we've got it down. And that's why we traditionally sell online as opposed to in a brick and mortar store.
Right.
Because a consumer isn't going to get it right. And fencers oftentimes don't get it right. In Pennsylvania, you know what? Typically 3 5/8 and 3 7/8 lumber is everywhere.
Yeah.
Why? Who knows? And a lot of times it's rectangular. It's, maybe 3 7/8 on one side and 3 5/8 on the other side. And fence armor, of course, what's nice about that, it's adjustable this way, so you can marry up that size. And our screws are self-drilling, so you can always marry up and drill right through the fence armor through the other side. So you don't have to use a pre-drill. It's built into the screw. So yeah, we've learned a lot, and we really suggest to people strongly that they measure first.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's a big deal, especially if you're ordering things up. So they're easy to install, and that's that's important. That's important for people to know. I mean, it doesn't take a lot of tools. A drill with it sounds like self tapping screws, and these things are on. And if you get the right size, I'm sure it goes a pretty smooth process.
Yeah.
You mentioned Japan earlier, and I know you didn't do all this forever. So obviously before you were developing these guards and these shields, did you have some experience developing markets in Japan, New Zealand, things like that? What were you doing back then?
Well, we still have, the engineering side of our business. And at that time I was living in Ventura County in California. And I really spent most of my time Asia Pacific and Brazil to grow those territories in the world of CNC. So those markets were developed on the engineering side of things.
Oh,
so
you were
introduced
pretty
products
involved
in
in that.
Japan, Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, throughout that part of the Pacific, and then Brazil.
Wow, that's interesting because a lot of people aren't that involved in it. They send it off, but sounds like you stay pretty active in it.
Well, yes. I mean, as far as the engineering side of things, I love that part. That is really a big part of what we do. Become very passionate with fence armor over the years because it's a baby we created, and it was really an underserved market, and it takes a while for the industry to understand. They see something new. What is this stuff? Why is it important? Well, all you have to do is look at the bottom of any post, whether it's a vinyl post or ornamental post or wood post. They get hacked up by lawn equipment.
Yep.
And our biggest customer base is our HOAs. We don't have to sell it to them. They just call us.
Yeah.
And, they're doing it right now. They see the landscapers come in, and so yes, we get calls from them all the time. And there were two opportunities there. One for the fence builder to have offered it right off the bat. And we did have a fence company down in Florida who actually called us and thanked us because we'd sent them some brochures and samples. He was the only fence company who introduced fence armor in that association. And even though he was more expensive, he was the only one who spoke to them about the realities of what was. And since they knew it so well, they put fence armor on all their vinyl fences to protect them from the damage that was going to happen.
But you have other products too, so it's not. I mean, may have started off like that, but you've expanded a lot into. Tell me a little bit about. And I'm curious about this probably more than some that may be more experienced in wood and vinyl fences and stuff. A wood post. Why would you want to? You have some stuff that actually goes down and not just protects the wood post up above, but below. Tell me about some of those products.
Yeah, so we have what we call, and again, we'll go back here to our totem pole, what we call our signature series fence. And on our training day, September the 11th at 11 o'clock, we'll be in one of the rooms doing some training and talking about the opportunity for fence companies to be able to increase their profits by offering a solution that we call the signature series. So to that end, we have the fence armor rot barrier, which lives here. This particular one is 14 inches long. 2 inches live above the ground up here, and the rest is in the ground. Now we know from 0 to -8 is where you're going to find rot, right? So the three things that encourage rot are warmth, oxygen, and moisture. With those three things, you end up with that very quickly, sometimes in 4 years, 3 years, 7 years. And the treatments for wood aren't what they used to be. They can't use arsenic anymore. They can't use the amount of copper they used before. The world is beautiful and we must keep it blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So something's going to suffer. So what happens? You have to cut down more trees. Or you can give your customer a 20-year warranty on a solution like this to protect it from rotting in the ground.
So you've done studies, I'm sure, that would show. Have you done some studies where you set a post in the ground, then you put that around it and put it next to it and test? Obviously, this study would take forever, I'm sure, but how
Well,
long to see the
we
difference?
use Post Saver for these
Uh-huh.
barriers, and Post Saver has done these studies since '94, and they do have posts in the ground that have been that long, and they work.
Right.
Um, we have organic farmers and the rest of it who also use the product, and for them, they're happy to have there's organic and then there's organic.
Yep.
The semi-organic guys will use a treated post, but then they'll want to protect it. So in this area, the leaching doesn't happen. The treatment doesn't get into the ground. So they're happy about that. For the true organic guys, they don't use any treated posts. They just use raw wood. And those things last 2 or 3 years because the diameter is like 3 inches typically.
Right.
So with a sleeve on it, they're going to get at least twice the life. At least there's hope.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that's interesting. That's
Yeah.
interesting. I mean, because I'll be honest, we don't have much wood fence out here or vinyl. In fact, we don't even have much lawn. I think as a 2000, I got till 2026 to remove the lawn at my house. It's going to be illegal to have lawn in Las Vegas. So hurry up and sell those because in Las Vegas, because then the bureaucrats are done. We'll have no lawn.
That's sad. I mean, it's well, I don't know.
I never knew that first 8 inches is where most of the damage happens. But now that I think about it, I mean, any post you pull out of the ground, that is typically where you see all the rot, and they do kind of fall off. And I just assumed the whole post was rotting. I haven't even thought about the fact that maybe it's not the whole post. It's just that first 8 or 10 inches. And I'm sure I saw Nathan Downs on here a second ago, I think, from Protecting Your Radius podcast. I mean, they do a lot of wood and stuff out there. So he's probably like, yep. That's what it rots off right there.
Anybody who pulls it out. I mean, and posts typically Tennessee and south are only 24 inches deep in the ground.
Yep.
So below here, this post can be in water all day long. Doesn't matter. And in fact, we have many images with the price tag still on the bottom.
Yeah. Wow.
And we know this. I mean, we have boat wrecks and we have people collecting logs out of rivers and swamps that have been in there for hundreds of years. Yeah. Water by itself doesn't destroy the wood.
Yeah.
So it is an interesting solution. So if we are able to keep this air and water tight, when moisture tries to come up into here, that capillary reaction is stopped because there isn't enough moisture to draw up above the post. So it stays down here in the ground, and obviously you have a post that's going to last longer.
Yeah.
And then you can't damage the post, so fence armor is ideal because now you're not damaging the membrane. And then, of course, at the top we have our beautiful caps.
Yep. And tell me about your caps. I noticed I've seen them before. Do you need to protect the top of the posts?
Yes.
Look at all these wood. I mean, ask me to build, 10,000 feet of chain link fence, 12 foot tall. I'm good, but this wood fence and vinyl fence, I'm just like going, well, why would you need that? Why don't I'm still like, why don't they pound steel posts in the ground? Why? I mean, you guys deal with a lot more variables that we don't have to deal with in the dry ground out here and things like that. So, why would you protect the top of a wood post?
Well, you think of wood as a straw. And you have at the top of your fence a bare post. It will take in the moisture, and over time it obviously starts to expand and contract and expand and contract, and it will fail and it will rot from the top. And we have plenty of pictures like this. Just it's complete common sense. Now it really depends on the fencer of record at a specific territory. And I know you talk about this often, what is the most popular fence in your area? Well, it depends on who the fence company is. Yep. Whoever that is, they kind of control what people like. And they say, I want a fence like that guy. People don't often think independently. They kind of sort of say, well, I want a fence like my neighbor. And that could make sense. And if you're in an HOA, well, they're going to get the fence that you're going to get.
Whatever they'll tell you can do.
Exactly. So when fencers are building fence and they leave a post uncovered, now sometimes they use a top rail, which will cover everything. But if they're exposed at the top, they cut it at the top rail and it just sits there open. They're presenting a failure that didn't have to be. And there's an opportunity to, just cut it up 2 inches higher and put a post cap on it, and you're a hero. People will love you.
Yeah, yeah, and they're decorative. They look nice.
Yeah.
So that there's no doubt. And are we going to be seeing some of these at the Fence Show? I hear you are building one heck of a booth for the Fence Show and Security Expo in Las Vegas. Tell me about that. Tell me, what are we going to expect to see? Will you share some of the details on it?
I don't know. I think of Jurassic Park where he said we spared no expense. We're not the biggest company in the world, but we really are excited about what you've put together, and you should be very proud, Brian, what you've done over the years. I'm truly impressed, and so is my business partner, Louise. We really think what you've been able to do has speared on the competition to wake up a little bit and realize, hey, we could do better. And I think they're aspiring to that. So I really like the location. I don't know anybody who really doesn't like Vegas. It's sunny, it's warm. That follows under my criteria. It doesn't have an ocean next to it, but there's a lot of fake water.
We got the Bellagio fountain.
Yeah. So I'm always drawn to the warm weather, and there is fantastic food. I think Caleb and some of the others will tell you that I enjoy food immensely. And in that hotel, believe it or not, is probably one of the best steakhouses I've ever been to.
Which one? You can get steak at 2 or 3 different places. Which one do you like?
The one that the most expensive one. I don't remember the name of it.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, right in the hallway.
I've forgotten the name right now. I have plenty of pictures of it.
Is it Don Vito or no? Gosh, I know what you're talking. I haven't ate there yet. I ate at the other 2 restaurants all the time, but I haven't splurged for the steakhouse yet. But everybody says it's amazing.
It is outstanding. You got to be ready to pay for it, but it is worth it. The only other one I know in Vegas that is of its caliber is at the Golden Nugget.
Really?
And it'll come to me. But they do probably the best crab cake that I've ever had in the world.
Yeah.
Incredible.
We go to Echo and Rig. If you get a chance, we got an Echo and Rig out here that's pretty good. A little off the strip stuff. We don't go down to the strip and eat probably as much as we used to when we were younger. All the work to park and walk and stuff, it changes a little bit, but
it's always a workout in Vegas. You're always walking for what seems to be miles to get anywhere. But it's good because the destination is worth it.
Are you coming in for the demo days at all?
The name was Vic and Anthony. Vic and Anthony.
I'm going to check that out. I'm going to see if Susan will allow us to go out to a nice big steak dinner after all this is over. But those executive directors, they are cheap asses. You know what I mean?
Should I be talking about Clint here? I don't know.
I'm like, I got to eat.
Vic and Anthony's will be the best crab cake you'll have ever eaten.
Really? Hey, I'm going to bring on a YouTube video that I watched. I kind of was creeping on your YouTube channel a little bit earlier, and I don't think people realize how much information you guys have on your YouTube channel. So if you go to Fence Armor on YouTube, there is just endless. You could watch for days and days and days. I don't know how many hours worth of videos you have up. These are all videos you guys put up, or some people are posting up there for you. Yeah, it's amazing. I'm going to pull one up and have you tell us a little bit about it, and let everybody kind of watch a little bit about your products and what other people think of it, because you guys have made a huge impact on a lot of fence companies, throughout the country. And I think that the word needs to get out. So let me pull this up and see if we can get this thing to work here for you.
Nice.
I swear by Fence Armor. This stuff's amazing. It does nothing but create longevity on your posts. You don't have to worry about your trimmers. You don't have to worry about pesky landscapers from commercial properties coming by and cutting your post down without you even knowing. So
Andy, what made you want to find a solution for that?
I want it to be different, and I want it to be above everybody else. And when we build things, we do it once and once only. This product adds to that philosophy.
Well, with our customers, it's given us another great option to get them to protect the length of their fence that they are paying a lot of money for, and it's just been an absolutely great product.
How we came in touch with the product was the customer here. We had already sold the fence itself, so the customer comes to us and says, well, how can we protect our investment on this project? But also, they already had a mile of existing PVC fence here. We'll take some pictures and show some video of some of the existing posts that are already here, and it's 8 years old, and half of the posts are already gone from weed whackers. He has a company come in, and I'm sure that they do the best that they can, but over time, no matter what, the weed whacker is going to go through. So I thought about the product that I had seen in the World Fence News, which was Fence Armor, which can save his existing product and help his investment on this project. So that's what we're
to try tap in and find a product that protected the posts. Customers were always asking, can we do extra concrete? Can we do extra this? Extra? So let's just kill that and get to the bottom. And that's where I found Al at Fence Armor, and it's been great ever since. 99% of customers are going with it. It's protecting from above ground and now below ground with the post saver.
Well, with the cutting length fence armor at the bottom of the post would definitely keep the weed whacker from hitting the wood itself.
Hey guys, Ian Robinson here with Davis Fencing. We're using the fence armor today on our new fence posts that we're putting in, installing. Set them 3 inches off the bottom of the ground for lawn maintenance and protection of the post. And the same galvanized steel we use for our fence hangers, so nothing rusts. It's good for moisture and great product to use for sure on your fence. And we trust it.
The best defense for your fence.
Got these in today from Fence Armor. This is cool, man. I mean, these guys are on top of it. These are galvanized steel caps that will fit about any wood post you can dream of. It's in like a 4x4. You know, there's oftentimes they're different 3 5/8, 3 1/2, 3 3/8, 3 3/4. They even fit a vinyl post. So these tops are interchangeable. This is galvanized steel with this adjustable claw on the inside, no screws, stainless steel claw. When you push that down on the post, it locks on there. So super simple, slide on the post, done deal. You can have a point on it or none. So here's the cap with no point on it.
I think we know that voice.
You can order the finials to go on top. So you have different options.
Definitely know that voice.
This finial is cool because you put a flag in that, like an American flag or something for the holidays. You can slide those little bitty wood stake flags in there and display them on top of your fence. Definitely definitely awesome. Check them out, Fence Armor.
Nice.
Cool.
Very nice.
Like
So, yeah, your product's been out around for a while. So when did you first start selling these? How long's it been? I don't think we actually kind of got on that. I mean, has it been, how many of these things you think you have out there?
Well, there'd be tens of thousands, and all over the world. All over the world. We ship everywhere. So
Wow.
whether it's Australia or Switzerland or Denmark or England or Portugal, we have Fence Armor all over the world. But obviously our biggest customer base is where we are, and that's in the US. Canada is growing for us too, which is great. And it's really word of mouth. People neighbors are talking to other neighbors, and fence companies are talking to other fence companies. There's an opportunity there for, again, when you're speaking about the customer, Mr. Customer, this is an option. Our normal price for the fence is this, or I can give you the Signature Series. It's going to cost a little more.
Yeah.
Fence Armor is going to plant a tree for every one you buy, and you're going to get a 20-year warranty. So even if the customer says no, you're presenting the latest and greatest technology to the customer. Just for his enlightenment, he might say, wow, maybe I should consider this, because everybody wins. Because ultimately, do you want that? Because that is going to happen.
Yeah. No, I love the product. I mean, I'm trying to wrap my head around how I'd use them on steel fences out here. Give me a quick idea. What would you use these for on a steel fence, on a commercial fence or residential in Las Vegas?
Well, a traditional chain link fence, you don't really need fence armor per se to protect the posts, but we do have two great products one is just coming into the market now. It's called Trim Buster by Fence Armor. And what it is effectively is a panel that lives under the fabric between the posts so that the grass doesn't grow up. You don't have grass over there, so you don't have to worry about this. It doesn't grow up and interweave in the fabric.
Gotcha.
And that's true also for ornamental. For ornamental fences, we have a clip-on version, which will just clip on to that ornamental post. So that's what we have for that part of the world. But if you're really putting in post or chain link or ornamental into an area where there is no grass and there is no lawn equipment, then you don't really need to prevent, protect, and prolong, because there's nothing that's ever going to really affect them.
Hey, maybe that shield will help keep the rattlesnakes and the scorpions out. I don't know. You never know. We can always find a use for something, right? So,
oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Hey, I want to thank you for coming on. I know I promised we'd keep it around 30, 40 minutes, and it went by quick. I always love talking to you.
It did. It did. I really appreciate the time, and I really look forward to the show. Come to our booth, 1011, I think it is, 1011.
I think it
you'll
is.
You'll have a great time over there. There'll be exciting things for you to do and win great prizes too.
You handing out any beer or poker chips or anything at your booth? Anything they need to run over there and get before they're all gone?
I think it's even better.
Okay.
I got to keep it a little bit of a surprise. It's definitely worthwhile coming to our booth. Nobody will be disappointed.
I know, and I asked you for some sneak peek pictures of your booth as it's being built, because you got a pretty good sized booth, 20 by 20, and those are good sized booths at the show there. So I'm super excited to see what you're building out there. Go to fenceshow.com if somebody wants to register. Get a hold of you because you have a code that will help them get a free exhibitor hall pass as well. I'm sure you got that to hand out to people. So if anybody wants to reach out to Al Martins through Facebook, LinkedIn, reach out to us and we'll get you in contact with them. Where do they go to purchase anything if they're going to get fence armor? Is there somebody they should get a hold of?
Well, you go to fencearmor.com.
Okay.
And certainly if you're a contractor, feel free to contact. There is a portal that you can sign into and get yourself registered automatically, which will be very helpful. But reach out to us. We have great contractor pricing. We have all the assets you need to develop the affiliate page on your websites. And as another little tease for the show, look up Wood Bully.
Wood Bully.
Wood Bully. And he'll anyway, look up Wood Bully and see what you find. And they'll be there at the show.
Wood Bully. That's interesting. If you just look up Bully, you'll find Susan. But, I guess Wood Bully, I guess you'll find something different.
If you go on social media and you look up Wood Bully, you'll see he's a really interesting fellow and an interesting company. Very unique, not a traditional. We'll say he's a carpenter officially. Gordon South. Him and his lovely wife will be there.
Cool.
And they'll be working the booth with us. But if you look at his channel, you'll see he has some really interesting things to talk about too.
Cool. And I heard if anybody uses any of their products and you still get damage to your posts, Al will come out and mow your lawn for 6 months for free.
I haven't heard about it. That must be in their extra fine print.
I can't back that up, by the way. But so, all right, great. Thanks again. I'm sure I'll talk to you before September, but I'm sure the next time I'll see you is September 10th to the 13th out there in Las Vegas. Go to fenceshow.com and register. If you get a hold of us or get a hold of Al to get a free code to get an expo pass. We'll see you guys in September, but I'll see you guys next Wednesday as well online. All right, Al, have a good one. Thanks again, for coming on.
Cheers. Good to see everybody.
See you later.
Thank you for having me.